right? Just see what it looks like as I'm scanning down, right? Grab my notes, right? The disciples are afraid. They're scared. Panic is seeking in. And then all of a sudden, as they're cowered behind locked doors, hope in the form of Jesus Christ walks into the door or into the room. And that hope that was given to those disciples on that resurrection eve is the same hope that we have in our hearts today. It's what brings us here. It's what draws us together. It's why the church is the church. Those imperfect people. Just think about for 1 second who the disciples were. Fishermen, tax collectors, sinners, just regular, everyday people like you and I. Nothing special about them at all, except they chose to follow their heart and go wherever Jesus would lead them. They were scared. Panic set in. They didn't know what the future held. Right? Their leader had just been crucified, died a horrible death. Right? We mentioned during our Easter message that he was spit on, he was mocked, he was ridiculed, he was beaten, hung on a cross. And those disciples locked in the room, right? All of them weren't there, right? John paints us a picture, and it sounds like everybody was there except for Thomas, right? The first week, we're going to get to Thomas in a minute, but it sounded like everybody was there except for Thomas, that resurrection eve. Right? I just wonder if the women were there as well, or if it was just the 11, right? The women were the ones that go to the tomb, that anoint, or go to the tomb to anoint the body of Jesus, right? They were not scared to be out in public, yet here we have on Resurrection Eve these disciples locked in a room somewhere in or around Jerusalem, wondering what their next step is going to be. I imagine that we would do exactly the same thing as they were doing. Right? We'd be cowered behind the doors because we wouldn't want to experience the same death that their leader had just experienced. We couldn't imagine going through that. And because Jesus Christ did, we don't have to. That's the hope of Easter Eve. Right? That's the promise that we live into. And it's time for us, as the church, to come out of our locked room. To come out from behind the doors. Right? This isn't COVID related, right? I mean, I mentioned we need to be careful. Numbers are going up. I'm not talking about that at all. Right? I don't want you to be misinformed here. What I'm talking about is that we, as the church, need to get out from behind the doors that we find ourselves behind, cower behind, right? Too often, right, we in the church are afraid, just like those disciples were afraid to share our faith. And I'm not talking about posting a meme on Facebook, right? Share this or whatever, right? A little video, share this. Or you're denying Jesus, right? That's not what I'm talking about. Right? I'm talking about going and having a conversation with your friends, with your coworkers. Right? If you're comfortable enough to do it, somebody you bump into while you're out shopping at Walmart. Right? I've done that before. Instead of doing that, we have hearts of fear. Right? We're afraid that somebody is going to judge us based on our relationship with Jesus. And that's exactly what the disciples are going through. That's exactly what's going through their minds. They are afraid that they will be judged because of their relationship with Jesus. Church, we're in the same position now as those early disciples were 2,000 years ago. It's not that we're ashamed, right? We just feel that we don't have the words to express our faith to our family, to our friends, and our loved ones. Right? It's the preacher's job to evangelize. Well, guess what? Your friends and your family and your coworkers, they're not going to listen to the preacher. I'm just a stranger to many of those people. But you have an authentic relationship with Jesus, and you know what your life is like with Jesus. You know what your life is like because of Jesus. There's nothing to fear. Right? It's time that we take that first step out of fear. From behind the closed doors that we find ourselves in. And share our faith with the community in the world. Jesus came and he suffered and died on the cross for the sins of all people, to reconcile himself unto the world. Unto the world. Right? Not just the people that are here worshiping. Right? Not just the people in our community. Not just the people that are gathered in the church down the street. Or in churches all around our nation and our world. Jesus died on the cross to reconcile himself unto the world, all people, all nations. And believe it or not, there's many people in our world today, many people that you know, that don't understand the impact that Jesus Christ can have in their lives. They don't know because you haven't told them. They don't know because you haven't told them. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Just as Jesus Christ did 2,000 years ago when he entered into a room where the disciples were cowed and afraid of what was to come. Right? Jesus walked into the room and provided hope to not only sustain them, he provided enough hope to sustain us today as well. Right? You and I have the power to do the same thing. We can be the hope that walks into the room.